Hey Wendell, when everybody has a pair of Google Glasses, what's going to happen to public restrooms?
Oh, I don't think they thought that through.
We're going to have a public restroom emergency. I think they're going to go out of business. No public restrooms anywhere.
I have to install like a micro shutter that triggers on GPS.
It'll be like signs outside of every, bathroom. Please take off Google Glasses before entering the bathroom.
There's some Seattle dive bar that's already banned Google Glasses. They have a sign that's like the Google Glass headset with an X through it.
Yeah. But you know there's going to be a new problem. Men are going to be dressing up in women's clothing and sneaking into women's restrooms wearing Google Glasses. Google Glasses. They need to change the name to benefit me. All right, first thing to talk about today, the White House petition against CISPA has reached 100,000 signatures, so that's really cool. I'm sure a lot of you guys signed it. I signed the thing.
We're still not moving fast enough on that, though. You really got to move at the speed of light because the politicians are like, we're gonna sneak it through.
Well, now the White House has to come out and say something about it, so that's going to be interesting to see what they have to say.
We really have to protect copyright law because there are digital products today. It's going to be some disingenuous thing that's just sad.
Oh, God. I hope not. So the next Galaxy is coming out from Samsung, the Galaxy 4. It'll be out like right this minute because I think it's coming out tonight after we film this. And then by the time this is live, you guys will probably have one in your hands going, oh my God, this is neat. Look, it does this thing.
The specs are out.
Yeah, the specs are. There's actually tons of leaked photos of this thing. But I thought this was kind of funny. LG is trolling Samsung. The LG Optimus G is here for you now, right above. Be ready for the next Galaxy. Are you ready for the most ridiculous story in the history of the universe?
We're going to write the screenplay.
Prenda Law. These guys are just so much fun. Now, you might have heard us talk about these guys sometime in the past because there was a law firm out there and they're just suing everybody and, telling the courts that these people were downloading porn and, threatening to basically make a public mess out of these people's lives unless they pay them money. Well, these guys sued the wrong person. Let me first break it down and tell you how they work. Prenda Law, they'll take an IP address, accuse the person that they think is attached to that IP address of downloading porn that belongs to one of their client companies. And then they'll subpoena everything to, infinity and sue them and, try to make them look really, really bad. Because, if everything goes public, it's going to be like, oh no, this guy downloaded porn. But if they just pay him off, it'll go away. So that's how they work. They call and they coerce people into giving them money.
At least that's how it seems.
Yeah, it's how it seems to us. And a lot of the people out there that are blogging in the world. So here's what happens. Prenda claims that John Doe, they don't know who he is just yet, but John Doe in Los Angeles downloaded porn from their client AF Holdings and Ingenuity 13 LLC. And they name an executive representative, Alan Cooper, from those companies. Now, this is the funny part. These companies are headquartered in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. That's located in the West Indies, and it's the smallest sovereign state in the Americas. There's only 50,000 people there. So this tiny place, and of course they have the companies there for convenience.
And so Alan Cooper is the client, and the lawyers are the lawyers at Prenda.
Yep. So John Doe, instead of just going to court with these guys or paying them off like a lot of people do, because a lot of people just pay them off to make it go away so that their name is not dragged through the mud. Well, John Doe obviously is moneyed and obviously knows a few things. So he requests a stay in the subpoenas and he starts arguing. First off, he argues that an IP address does not equal an individual. And we've talked about that a lot before, but that raises an interesting point.
And that's not the unusual thing.
No, that's reasonable.
That's pretty typical.
But then, where does he find out all this information? Who knows? John Doe knows a lot. He knows how to dig on people.
So the second part of his thing.
Yeah, John Doe, through his attorney, Morgan Pietz, he files for special discovery, and he loads it with allegations about Prenda's lawyers. He says, first off, Prenda's lawyers, they don't have any clients. They're acting on behalf of themselves and keeping all the money. So there is no client, in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Those guys aren't there. And he also says, I don't think there's an Alan Cooper either. No Alan Cooper. And then he says, there might be an Alan Cooper, but Alan Cooper is not an executive for a porn company. Alan Cooper is the groundsman for John Steele. And John Steele is one of the lawyers at Prenda. Is your head hurting yet?
Well, it's even more insane than that because John Steele is a lawyer in another firm that owns Prenda. So there's like several layers of separation here.
This is the most convoluted thing in history. You cannot write this kind of stuff.
Yeah, we're only scratching the surface. You have to read the whole story at Pope Hat because it's insane.
It's really, really funny and quite entertaining to just like sit around and talk about.
This should be on CNN, but instead we're talking about dysentery on a Carnival cruise ship or something.
I know. Why is that on CNN? Today we were sitting there watching CNN and there's some lady flailing around a Ken doll when this is happening.
It might have been Pope related. We're not sure.
Look, a half-naked Ken doll. He looked like Chippendale's dancer.
It kind of looked like Jesus on the cross. I don't know. It might have been Ken.
Anyway, so it's John Doe's opinion, so it seems to me, that Prenda law is a sham and they're designed to extort and shake down different people to get money. So he says that the lawyers have no clients and his stays are granted. Now, what's funny, when you're granted a stay, the subpoenas have to stop. However, Prenda Law continued to subpoena AT&T and Verizon, even though they weren't allowed to, and that pissed off the judge. The judge is already pissed off. What's the judge's name?
Otis Wright.
Otis Wright. So Otis Wright is already pissed off at these guys, and they just continue to piss him off all the time. So
yeah, this past Monday, Verizon and AT&T showed up and were like, yeah, they kept harassing us for these subpoenas, and Otis Wright was like, oh, really?
Did I not stay those subpoenas? Did we not say, hey, stop that? Well, anyway, the judge got fed up with all this nonsense. And he said, you know what? Everybody that's involved in this, your secretaries, everything. I want all of you guys in here. And Alan Cooper, I want him in here too. So,
both Alan Coopers.
Both Alan Coopers. He wants the groundskeeper and the executive Alan Cooper, whoever that is.
And they were to show up this past Monday.
Yeah. So, of course, this past Monday came. And what happened?
Only the groundskeeper Alan Cooper showed up.
And the groundskeeper shows up looking like they said like a tattered Jim Caviezel with gray hair.
A gray on the Pope hat. The guy said that he was a gray-haired Jim Caviezel.
So I can see it all right now. And he shows up and says that he works for John Steele, and that John Steele, you know, as soon as he filed, well, because the groundskeeper filed a lawsuit against these guys for identity theft.
Yeah.
And he said as soon as that happened, like the instant that happened, John Steele starts calling him. And the messages were described as menacing. What was that?
Threatening and menacing voicemails?
Yeah. Which you're not supposed to do because...
As a lawyer, you can't do that.
He's lawyered up. You've got to call his lawyer. You're not allowed to call Alan Cooper. You've got to call the lawyer. So, yeah. Anyway, this Monday, the lawyers didn't show up except for Brett Gibbs. And Brett Gibbs, his name was attached to several lawsuits last year.
And he was doing all the work last year and blah, blah, blah. But it's more crazy than that because the lawyers showed up with lawyers. Like, they had lawyers for themselves. And so
lawyer technology?
Yeah, Brett Gibbs showed up as an individual with a lawyer. Which is insane.
And all this because John Doe dug up some dirt. And nobody knows who John Doe is.
Yeah, we don't know who John Doe is
His identity is still protected, and he's been wreaking havoc for these guys. These guys all want him dead.
Hats off to you, sir.
Like, whoever you are, John Doe, what if he's not moneyed? What if he's just like some little nerd in a basement?
Well, he's either moneyed or he hacked their email accounts and figured out what was going on and went to his attorney with the information. Or the attorney's really sharp. It's got to be one of the three.
So, yeah, it's really looking like, you know, there's no Alan Cooper. And, you know, when the judge pressured them to say, like, okay, you know what? Who is Alan Cooper? They totally avoided it. And the easiest way to make all those allegations go away is just show up with freaking Alan Cooper.
Or be like, look, Alan Cooper lives here at St. Kitts and Nevis and blah, 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 and so on and so forth, and here's his address.
Yeah, you can go.
It's not the same Alan Cooper, we promise. But they haven't done that.
No, and what they did do is they tried to say that the judge, what did they say about the judge? He was...
They said the judge was biased, and some other judge looked at it and was like, you have got to be kidding me.
So they attacked the judge. That's what happens.
This is crazy.
What kind of lawyers do this?
This is completely nuts. I mean, this is like so far off the rails. This really is like reality TV meets the Los Angeles Federal Court District.
I really want to watch this movie, number one. Number two, let's tie this into the technology world and talk about how it's good for us. It's going to be really good for us because this is another case in which a federal judge has agreed that an IP address does not equal an individual.
Yeah, there's only 4 billion IP addresses in the whole scheme, assuming that we're using them exactly perfectly efficiently.
And we're not, because IP addresses go on and off, and they transfer, and one day you log on, you've got a different IP address, so that's ridiculous.
We have ISPs that are using carrier-grade network address translation, so thousands of people may only be using a handful of IP addresses, and IP address does not equal a person. If you're on the, the wireless at the cafe down the street, an IP address does not equal a person.
Another thing that's really nice about this is it's severely damaging to the companies who are acting like Prenda law. I mean, even if something miraculous happens and Prenda law wins this case, which I don't think they're going to.
Well, actually, they withdrew their case against John Doe, and Judge Wright was like, "Not so fast! You can't get away that easy."
Yeah, they're like, "Well, just leave us alone. We're gonna go home now." They're like, "Nope, get back in here." He's pulling them in by the back of their collars. Like, where are you guys going?
Yeah. So now the case is about defrauding the court and misconduct. Misconduct in court. And so now that's what it's about. But John Doe's lawyer, like the judge is like, I can't make you come to these things because this doesn't have anything to do now because the lawsuit against John Doe has been withdrawn. But if you want to show up and tell us about your experiences with this law firm, that'll be awesome. And so John Doe's lawyer has been going to these things to be like, yeah, this is what they said. This is how crazy they are. And so the other lawyer's like, oh, God, what's going on?
So anyway, it's really funny. And there's some pretty interesting implications.
You really have to read the Pope Hat article. It is a hoot.
Yeah, the Pope Hat guy is hilarious. So it's rated PG-13, by the way, just in case. I mean, some people are worried about cursing and whatnot on the internet, but we're not here. We're looking for a good story. Have you heard of BitTorrent Live? BitTorrent Live is a technology that uses, I guess, BitTorrent-like stuff for live streaming. Now, the way it works, if one person is on, you're getting the signal from that one person. But if 50 people are on, there's a buffer, and all those 50 people are sharing the signal. So the more seeds you have, the better the live stream. And, I mean, that's crazy, because right now, if you're on Twitch TV or if you're streaming onto Google or whatever, or Google Hangouts, the more people watching, the worse the performance. But right now, the more people watching, the better the performance.
Well, with a normal streaming platform, you really have to build out your streaming infrastructure, because if 1 million people come and hit that, you've got one point of failure or one server farm that's pushing out to 1 million people. But with this, it's distributed.
So I think this is going to do a couple different things. Number one, it's going to change the way people look at BitTorrent, because right now a lot of the people, especially the powers that be and the major companies, see BitTorrent as a negative technology. And this could be a positive technology, because companies major media companies could utilize this technology and greatly reduce their overhead and improve their performance and improve their user experiences. So that could be a really cool thing. You guys can check out that article if you're interested. I'm not sure, I'm not sure who's going to be the first to jump on board with this technology, but I will let you know as soon as we see something. It'd be cool if we see some companies like Twitch and whatnot incorporating some technology like this. That would make everything a lot better. France may be putting a law into practice that will essentially require net neutrality. There's a few other countries over there, Netherlands, Slovenia. Norway has similar laws as well.
I would like to see that.
I really don't know how I feel about net neutrality, because it's the government getting involved. But it's like that thing where if you leave it alone, are the companies going to behave? So do you need legislation or do you not need legislation?
We've known what we need to do for a long time. It's just the lobbyists and stuff prevent us from doing that.
Yeah.
And that is, the network connection needs to be a public utility, and the ISP needs to happen at the other end of your network connection.
Yeah.
So, like, as a citizen, I'm entitled to a fiber optic connection at my house, but the other end of that fiber optic connection is the ISP of my choice, or the service provider of my choice, not even necessarily an ISP. I mean, I could get my phone service, my cable service, everything through that fiber optic cable. But that fiber optic cable, that is a public utility.
So you make it sort of like a power company, because power companies can be, independent companies, not government entities.
It's not necessarily that internet service is a public utility. I'm not sure that I believe in that. But that fiber optic cable, that needs to be a public utility.
Yeah. I would agree with that. All right, we already talked about the Samsung Galaxy S4. The news is going to be crazy about it, but we're recording this before it is officially launched, so I'm not even going to really get into that.
It's got 8 cores.
Could be 8 cores.
Well, it's
in Europe. If you guys are lucky enough to get one in Europe, you're probably going to have 8 cores. But here, we can't have 8 cores. Not usually.
So it's quad core.
Yeah, because of the battery life.
Yeah, most people don't realize that the reason that the American version was quote-unquote gimped is because most of the battery has to go to talking to the tower, because our towers are far apart, because capitalism.
Because capitalism. There's a very interesting new technology coming out of Japan right now. It's a student thesis project from Dayu Noburi. Now, what he's done is created something called VPN Gate. And to me, it sounds a lot like the Tor network. So far, there's been over 77,000 users that have joined. And here's the way it works. First off, the problem he's trying to solve is the fact that a lot of countries are censoring the internet and blocking access to certain sites. And he thinks that people in Egypt and other countries in the Middle East and other countries throughout the world, China, etc., should be able to have access to any website they want to go to as a human right almost. So the way it works is very similar to Tor in the sense that you connect through someone else's connection, and you have a soft VPN tunnel. You go to their connection, maybe it sends you somewhere else, and then you get to whatever server you wanted to go to in the first place, whether it's YouTube, Twitter, etc. I guess it's not quite the same as as an exit node.
Yeah, so. It's a little different, but it's similar, but it's different.
I'll have to know for sure that it's safe. You know what I mean? I have to know for sure that the people on the other end of the I guess the people providing the VPN, if I know for sure that everything is encrypted even through their connection, then I'll feel okay about it. But
you're pretty much relegated to using HTTPS. Even HTTPS is not safe enough, but a protocol like SSH might be safe enough.
So it's very interesting. Like I said, I'll do some more research on it and then make a final judgment. Maybe we'll make a video about it if it's a good alternative to Tor. Who knows? You guys can go ahead and do some reading up on it if you like. Google Reader is going to be dying on July 1st.
They're taking it down.
Yep, they're taking it down. Here's why. Brian Sheehy, is that how you say it? S-H-I-H? She.
Welcome to the terrible name pronunciation channel. I'll be your host, Don Cheadle.
Yeah, we can only pronounce technology things. Outside of that, we can't pronounce nothing. So Brian Sheehy, he's the former Google Reader product manager. And he said that Google has always been trying to take the team from Google Reader and move them over to social applications. Like, remember Open Social back in 2008? They tried to move the team over to that. And then with Google Buzz, which died horribly, they've tried to move the team over to that. And now they're trying to move them all over to Google+. And a lot of the team that worked on Google Reader have said, no, we don't want to go to Google+. We want to work on Reader. And a lot of people use Reader, and they avidly share things. And now that they've been integrating Google+ into Reader, the guy here, Brian, says that sharing has gone down dramatically. And he's like, I don't want to go to Google Plus is basically what I'm hearing from him. So it sounds like Google is killing it because they want to do something interesting with Google Plus, and we could see parts of Reader start to resurface in Google Plus. That's
but
my
the crazy
own
thing with Google Plus is that they are now like the number 3 social network.
But the activity level is so low. I mean, they basically force you to join if you have a Google account.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I mean, I was forced to join because, hey, it's like, hey, every Google account, now you have a Google Plus thing or die. They smacked me over the head with it. That's what I felt like. Every time I logged on, it was like, I've got new Plus stuff. I don't even know what this Plus business is. I don't really care about social networking.
I think Google Plus would take off in a heartbeat if they let you have personas. Like you could be like, here's my work persona, here's my home persona, here's my trolling persona,
here's my fursona,
and it let you like Google is like, we need to know who you are. Like that's their motivation. All right, you can know who I am. I'll trust you, Google. That's fine. But I really need this troll identity that's not traceable back to me.
That's never going to happen.
No, it's never. Well, it should, but it's probably going to take somebody doing that and then competing with them and then a buyout from Google for them to actually be like, yeah, we probably should do that.
There are some alternatives. Feedly is one of the alternatives, and if you sign up now for Feedly, they said that it's going to be a seamless transition from Google Reader over to a Feedly service. There's plugins for Chrome and Firefox, Safari. There's an Android app and an iOS app, so they've pretty much got everything covered there. I might check out Feedly and see how that works, and this is kind of interesting. Dig says that they're going to build their own reader, and it's going to have all of the features of Google Reader and more.
What's a Dig?
I'm not sure what a Dig is. I think it's I don't know.
Is it that website from 1983?
Yeah, but I think it's kind of like Reddit, except you can't bury anymore. Can you bury it now? I don't know.
Something about Gopher. I don't know.
Yep. Oh, Google picked up a neural networking startup.
From the University of Toronto.
Yeah, these guys are geniuses, and some of their
well, I don't know. This startup is such a strong word. It was a professor and 2 of his grad students.
Yeah, but some of their technology and some of their ideas, they're saying that they're able to replicate human thoughts on a level which we haven't seen before. Yeah,
Google apparently gave them like $600,000 and really liked what they were doing and was like, hey, want to just do whatever you want with an unlimited pocketbook? And of course they were like, yes, please.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe this will be the singularity. Could be. They have removed ad blockers from the Play Store. I don't know really how I feel about this. They're citing, in their terms of service that you're not allowed to make an app that interferes with anyone else's ability to do business, et cetera, or it messes with networks and devices and all that. So, I mean, they're saying that, it interferes with other people's ability to do business, make money, and it interferes with the natural functions of the phone, and that's prohibited. So
I'm not sure I disagree with that.
Yeah.
I think I'm okay with this.
Get used to ads, guys, because they're the reason why we're here right now. Unfortunately, we're trying to come up with some solutions because I really don't like the fact that if Google pulls the plug or did something crazy that I would be starving. Because right now I'm relying too heavily on ads.
We're going to have an account system.
Yeah, we'll make an account system for you guys.
You can subscribe.
And we'll give you
a badge.
A badge or something. It's going to be
that's
so
all you get.
Amazing. Maybe a sandwich every now and then.
Google Hangout every now and then, maybe?
Nah, maybe. I like making everything open to everybody, but you'll get to know that you are helping something independent to grow and flourish. It'll be awesome. And I'll send everybody a copy of Zweihander. You'll get every new thing that I create, whether it's Zweihander, whether it's an independent movie, whether it's a cartwheel that we videotape. I'll send it all to you guys.
When we write the screenplay to the Prenda Law thing, we'll put that up there for you.
Who is Alan Cooper? The movie. Wait a second.
With a real Alan Cooper stand-up.
So Google has been fined $7 million for drive-by privacy infringement.
Basically, their Street View cars were just running around in monitor mode with their Wi-Fi, just capturing whatever packets they could see.
And then they were everything.
Like, should we not have done that? Was that wrong?
Well, the thing, I will say this about Google. They did come out and say that, you know what? Google values privacy, and we failed. They came out and said, we failed big time. But they also paid $7 million, and that was like, that's it. That's what they paid. Like, yeah. That's how much it hurt them. And, other people like Aaron Swartz. Stuff like this happens. Google gets slapped on the wrist and charged $7 million. Aaron Swartz is like
35 years in prison.
We will end your life, sir. That's what he gets.
Well, it wasn't really about privacy, but I mean, there are certain parallels in the two crimes one cannot ignore.
Yeah, I mean, it was data. They were both data crimes in some way.
Yeah, and one's worth 35 years, and the other one's worth $7 million, which is, it's roughly 20% of one day's income for Google. So 20% of one day's income for Aaron Swartz would have been like $50.
So the U.S. Attorney's Office has been accused of withholding evidence in the Aaron Swartz trial. So
they lied.
Yeah, this is kind of interesting. It's another convoluted case with some weird lawyer nonsense. Where they had some evidence, and essentially they said that they did not have his laptop when they really did have his laptop, and they shouldn't have had his laptop. And
there was an email that they held that showed that they had access to the materials, and they messed up the warrant and they didn't get it. So the evidence was probably obtained improperly, but the evidence of the improper evidence gathering was suppressed.
Why is all this legal nonsense so confusing? Because lawyers are slippery scoundrels. Shysters.
Yeah, and the U.S. Attorney General was like, oh, yeah, this is totally legit. And it's like, are you crazy? Are you insane? Do you not understand this? I have yet to see anybody that has any level of technical knowledge stand for the side of this was a fair and balanced approach.
Yeah, they're all incompetent.
The people that say this was a fair and balanced approach have demonstrated no technical knowledge whatsoever. None.
Microsoft, they're going open source with Kinect.
Well, it's to respond to the Leap motion, which is now shipping. Ours should be here in a day or two.
You got a Leap?
Yep.
Oh, we'll have to play with that. So what do you think about the Leap compared to the... Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see how good it is, but do you think it's going to be better?
Yeah, the Leap looks like it's 21st century technology compared to the Kinect. So that's probably why they're open sourcing this.
I mean, the Kinect is good technology.
It is.
I mean, it's you guys made some pretty cool things with it. Let's talk about science, shall we? So some researchers at Arizona State University, they've created the world's first electrically powered room temperature nano lasers. Now, these could be used in computers in place of, electrical currents. So instead of electricity, we're using light. Now, this is going to greatly reduce the temperature. And also, the speed is going to go up.
We can have optical interconnects now instead of electrical ones.
Hats off to the guys at Arizona State University.
Nanoscale lasers and optical interconnects.
They've done it. Let's talk about the Higgs boson. Now, when the Higgs boson was first discovered, there wasn't that much information. And now, scientists have gone over tons of information, and they're even more sure that what they discovered was, in fact, the Higgs boson. So that's pretty cool. Brian Greene describes the Higgs boson as the particle that gives everything mass, but he says, imagine that everything is just floating in molasses, and we have to move around through that. Well, the Higgs boson is the molasses in which everything travels through. And that's like the electrons. They travel through the molasses.
I like having data, and data is good, but something about that description makes me think of the old school definition of how light propagates, and light propagates through the ether. And so it's like, we need to do more work here, fella.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot more to it. He's just explaining it to, people at home.
More data.
Yeah.
Gaming!
Gaming. Let's talk about gaming. We've had a lot of drama this week with XI3 and Valve because of the Steam box. So XI3 started taking orders for this thing called the Piston. It's like $1,000. It's got an AMD A10 CPU. So for the money, you're not getting a lot. What you're getting is a cute little form factor box. And then immediately people were like, oh, that's the Steam box, because Valve gave them some money and Valve is in cahoots with XI3, so that's going to be the Steam box. And everyone was like, oh my God, it's way too expensive. This is like $500. And then they had it came with 128 gigabytes of storage, like an SSD. And if you wanted to move to like 256 gigabytes, well, sure, you can do that. It's going to cost you like $350, $400 extra.
Wow.
So people were freaking out about that. And Valve quickly came out and said, no, we don't have anything to do with this, guys. This is XI3 all on their own. We really don't have much to do with them. Yeah, we did talk to them for a little while, but we don't have anything going on with them at this point in time. And Gabe Newell even came out and said, we're working on some Steambox stuff in-house, and it could be very, very cool. So that happened. Then XI3 came back and released a statement. They're like, no, we are working with Valve. So it's turned into this ridiculous soap opera right now. But they released like an official statement, like a press release here, saying that, hey, we've worked with Valve. And they said that a lot of it they're not allowed to speak about because, it's under a non-disclosure agreement, et cetera, et cetera. But they met with Gabe. And they leave it with like, so Gabe, it's up to you. The ball's in your court.
Gabe's going to demolish them.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's any animosity going on right now. It's just like one company saying one thing and one company saying the other. And it sounds like they're not communicating as well as XI3 says they're communicating. It sounds like Valve's doing their own thing and gave XI3 some money, because they did, to develop their platform. But yeah, who knows what's going to happen with that. We got a lot of gaming to talk about today. Middle-earth Online, the role-playing game. Just wanted to take a look at some mods today. But this mod in particular has caught my fancy because the mod creators are being sued by Warner Brothers. Why? Because Warner Brothers owns Middle-earth. They own everything that has to do with Tolkien's universe. You can imagine anything you want, but if you start imagining in our imaginary world, we're going to sue you. So do not imagine in our imaginary world. That's what they're saying.
That's exactly what Warner Brothers is saying.
So we'll see where this gets. But this is tantamount to a lot of the cases that we've seen with Robot Chicken. They go out and buy like He-Man dolls, She-Ra dolls, Barbie dolls.
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen Robot Chicken, you really have to check out Robot Chicken.
Yeah, because some of the companies, Mattel, I'm not sure if Mattel is one of the companies, but some of the companies
they buy these old retro toys.
Yeah.
Like He-Man and, My Little Pony even, and just crazy stuff. And then they do stop motion stuff that's basically them playing with the toys. And then Mattel or whoever freaks out and sues them. It's like, no, you're misappropriating our brand. You're not allowed to do that. And
judges all the time, they love these. They're like, they bought the toys. They're playing with them.
They're filming them playing with toys.
So yeah,
the show is tantamount to adults playing with toys.
So yeah, I mean, it's not like the guys here are selling Middle-earth or Middle-earth, whatever. What is it? Middle-earth? What's it called?
I think the guys, they would have to be careful. Like, they can't have, their Frodo cannot look anything like Frodo, and probably can't be called Frodo. So
you don't think so?
It could be called Froyo or something like that.
Well, maybe they just stay away from all the main characters entirely and just allow you to play inside this universe. But
maybe they should turn the universe into a giant parody. And, everything, like the Warner Brothers executives are all like, giant walking douches or something.
Ooh, they could turn it into Middle Smurf.
No, can't turn it into Middle Smurf, but...
Aren't the guys who made Smurfs dead by now? I don't know.
What about slightly left of Middle Earth? Like SLMERP? That would be like Smlurp, like slightly left of Upper Middle Earth.
Let's move on. I've had it with that. So a tip...
left of Center Earth... I don't know. Something.
Let's talk about SimCity just briefly because it's so ridiculous I don't even want to talk about it. But, EA and Maxis came out and said that the DRM had to be on and the connection had to be there because there's stuff that's going on behind the scenes that you guys can't see, but it has to happen or else the game won't even run. It relies on the servers to even run. Well,
for those of you not in the know, SimCity came out, the new version of SimCity that everybody was like really excited about, and the servers promptly melted, and no one's been able to play, and it's terrible.
They say that they've improved the servers quite a bit by now, and people can play, but still not the best situation. They still need more servers. Well, here's what's kind of funny. One modder went out there and modded the game and made it so that you do not need to connect to the servers. It no longer phones home, and everything works perfectly fine. So this connection, the connection to the server, was all about DRM. It had nothing to do with any necessity.
Oops.
So I guess they've EA is just fucking terrible.
EA is really they really are. I mean, I can't fathom what would. Actually, I tell you exactly what's going to happen. This is really sad. 5 years from now, some executive that is so far removed from reality that he has no idea. He's like, executive, how much is toilet paper? He's like, I don't know, like $50. I don't know. That far removed from reality, okay? He's going to be like looking at this SimCity thing, and he's going to be like, yeah, we really don't need to make a SimCity game. We didn't make any money on the last one, and people just aren't buying it. There's just nothing there. And it's like, no, you screwed it up.
And then 18 years down the road, after they've already let go of the license and everything, the original creators of SimCity are going to hop on Kickstarter, and then the executives are going to go, what the hell? They raised $20 million on Kickstarter? How did this happen?
Yeah, there's going to be a 90-year-old, programmer, like the last person that's left alive on the original SimCity team that's on Kickstarter. He's like, I've put together some grad students here, and we're going to do this. And then they make $20 million.
Yep, similar as to what's going on with Torment that just came out and on Kickstarter. A lot of cool things going on Kickstarter. There's some information about the new Thief game. You guys can check that out. I'm going to gloss over it, but I'm a big fan of Thief. More mod news. If you're into Skyrim, check out Tropical Skyrim. It is probably the most ridiculous overhaul that I've seen. It turns Skyrim into a tropical paradise. It looks like you're playing Far Cry.
Bears or pandas.
Bears or pandas, yeah. It changes a lot of things, but I mean, look at this. Oh, this guy. Let's quieten down. But yeah, look at this. I mean, it looks pretty wild.
Oh, it's a panda.
There it is, getting attacked by a panda. Oh, that's one aggressive panda. I guess it's a video game. And that's just what you have to do. Raptors, huh? What is that, a walrus?
I think it's a walrus.
A tropical walrus, yes, of course. One of the, it's an African sand walrus. So yeah, it makes the game look totally different. I, myself, prefer the Nordic cold, cold feel. I just personally like the way it looks better, but if you're someone who's just so sick of snow, you can install this and have a lot of fun. It's not compatible with a lot of the mods like Vert's Flora Overhaul. You can't use that with it, and a lot of the other texture mods because it replaces so many textures in the game. It is ridiculous, but I wanted to mention that one as well. Anything else to talk about today?
Beer
About
Games
it. Beer Games Beer, check it out. We're going to be releasing several new videos on that, playing Full Throttle on the Dig, and we've got some more interesting videos coming on Beer Games Beer as well. We're going to PAX East next week, so check us out there. If you guys are going to be at PAX East, send me an email, inbox@techsyndicate.com, and let me know where. Maybe I'll let you touch my beer. I don't know how
Have a beer.
Yeah, we'll have a beer or something. And everyone else that's going to be there, what's up? That's the end of the show. Subscribe. I hope the button's still down there because they changed everything again on YouTube. So enjoy the new layout. See you next time.
I've got my retainer in.
What's going on, fellas?